Welcome. I'm going to present to you our Erasmus Plus project Early Warning, Early Reaction. This idea about the project came to us when we were listening to an American who was telling us about how she turned her school around. And she did this with a few key factors. And one of these was focusing on the students' sense of belonging at school, because she found that students who felt they belonged in school did not drop out and they didn't have other problems in the same extent. She also increased the speed in development by shortening the quality circle. Usually in school we have a yearly or annual quality circle, and she reduced this to 6 weeks. And in order to do that, she needed indicators that she could use so that she could have a status at the start of the period, and then an analysis and actions that were able to be evaluated with the same indicators 6 weeks later. And also, she, she ended her lecture with this statement: always begin before you're ready. This made a huge impression. So we started this Erasmus project, and one of the aims was to find a way to assess the student's sense of belonging, to make it measurable so that we can have indicators using them often and evaluating progress. To do this, we also need to develop an assessment tool that is easy to use and you can have the results immediately so that you can work with this in order to shorten the quality circle. You also needed to develop a method to involve students in the analysis and improvement. This is also to strengthen the feeling, the sense of belonging in school. They need to take part in this. Finally, we wanted to identify good practices, because if we start measuring and we find that some classes are doing good, we want to learn what are they doing in order to succeed. So identifying and sharing good practices is one of the aims with this project. So we gathered from 3 countries: Spain, Norway, and Sweden, or Basque to be more precise. And we spent a few days gathering all the experience from the teachers and school leaders present, and we started to identify the statements that could be the part of a questionnaire. And this questionnaire was taking shape, and we were working in English, of course, and we tried also to translate them into Basque, into Spanish, into English and Swedish and Norwegian, so that we could see that these statements were working and they gave us the response we wanted. And then we made this web-based survey where the students are presented to these statements, and they can take a stand whether they agree to the statement or if they don't. And as you see, this is a star-shaped questionnaire, and the student marks his or her statement by pulling this red circle far out if they agree and less far out if they do not agree. And when they hit the save button, we get the result in real time. So it's very quick. If you gather a class, you can have them answer a survey, and then when the last student has pressed the save button, you can look at the result and you can have the discussion with the class at the same occasion. This shows an example of the results. You can see that there are 3 different input periods here, or answer periods, and they have a very similar pattern. So you can see that even if there are 6 months between them, it's the same pattern, the same statements that are strong and the same statements that are weak. Also, you can see the colors in the diagram, where red indicates that we are below the set targets, yellow indicates that we are moving in, and green indicates that we have reached the set targets. And this is a way of displaying the targets, so it's very easy to see how we are doing. When you look at the results, this is the average. You can, of course, look at the spread, and you can see this in figures as well, but for this presentation, we chose a graphic presentation. When you have looked at the results, you choose one question which you want to go deeper into and do an analysis from. And that's the next step in the web-based system. You have a gap analysis. And here you start with the current situation. In this case, the lessons are not enough meaningful, and the desired position, more meaningful lessons. You see the number 6.19, which is the current result for this group on a scale 1 to 10, and 7 is the desired position. Then inside the gap, which is indicated with the blue, you see the problems identified by the students. So you ask the students, what is the problem? Why are we not having more meaningful lessons? What is keeping us down? And you ask them to think by themselves in silence first, and then you ask them to talk in pairs, and then you ask each pair, what did you find? What did you find? And in this case, these are purely examples, but I don't see the purpose, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or I don't understand. The next question is, we have results at 6.19, so we're doing something right. So the question is, what is it that makes us do this? What is it that makes the lessons meaningful already today? Think by yourself in silence for a while, then talk in pairs, and then we gather the experiences. And in this case, the teacher explains the goals for the lesson. I get help with my problems. There is a clear lesson plan. These may be the closing factors, reducing the gap. And then, given this, which is the analysis, we move on to possible actions in order to improve this situation. And in this case, when you enter a suggestion, they are shown in the tool as a yellow note, which is something most people relate to in a brainstorming phase. And we have some examples here with whiteboard structure. We have, well, just different examples. You then choose one of these and you convert that idea into a specific action. This is an image showing the form where you evaluate the impact of the action. In this case, we chose a whiteboard structure, and you can see the diagram where the result for this specific question, the lessons are meaningful to me, is reclining slightly. And then you have in the diagram, to the down right, you have a green square indicating the action, which is set in time. You can see also the date. It goes from the 8th of April to the last April. And the thing is that there is a responsible person, and this person evaluates the action. You can see the completion to the top right, whether did we do this as planned or did we not. In this case, we did it like 75% of what we actually planned. And when you do the next survey, you will get the blue curve in the diagram will extend, and you will see that either it got better, it didn't change, or maybe it got even worse. And then you can also evaluate the impacts. And this means you can go the whole circle around, the learning cycle. Well, you can start with the result, and if you have actions earlier, you evaluate the impact from them. Then you make a new analysis from the results, and you plan new actions, and you measure again, and you go this way around and around. And the key is evaluating the impact of the actions so that you can see that you're doing the right things and that you're getting forward. We also try to verify the statements by gathering all the grades for all the students. And then we made a correlation analysis. On the x-axis, you have the average grade, in this case, Spanish, And on the y-axis you have the survey, the statement. In this case, the leader's trust in my ability to learn. And each dot represents one individual student. So you can see that you have rather a lot of data in a short amount of time. And then we look for a correlation. We're using the Pearson correlation, and you find in this case a correlation of 0.34, which is rather strong in this case. So that is a way to see that the statements we chose shows correlation to the final results. And that is one way of verifying that we are measuring the right things. Step 4 is to try to identify the good practices practiced in the classrooms with good results. And we have gathered these. This is an image from the web page where we have sorted this into 4 categories: self-concept, relationships, environment, and learning process. And you can see that under each of these headlines you have a number of good practices. Those good practices are described in order to be able to, as a teacher, you should be able to download this, read through it, and practice it in your own classroom. So you can see where it comes from, you can see the name of the practice, and also how it's done, how to apply it. And in this case, there are files available so that you can download. And also, when you are done with it, you can send comments and you can rate this good practice. And that is a way of sharing with others. There's also a way for you to upload your own good practices. And by doing that, you can contribute and you can keep on sharing. So, do you want to join this project, or do you want to use the output from the project? You can visit our webpage, which is earlywarningearlyreaction.com. If you want to use this IT tool, it's free of use, and then you need to send a list of your students' emails and the classes if you want to be able to separate the results from the classes. Otherwise, we only need the email addresses. And you send that to contact@vardaskaparna.se, and we will get back to you. If you want the good practices, just go to the web page and you will find them, and you can download them, look around, and you can also upload your own contributions. So, thank you for listening. We hope to meet you in one way or another, sharing knowledge.